I don't love Noddler's team, man. Just kind of boring.
Yeah, that Trey Lance 49ers insight did not travel far for the Cowboys this week.
Dude, I actually hate Noddler's team. All right, you guys have been asking for him. He is our fearless leader, all the way from somewhere in Missouri. It's Josh Palmer, the commissioner. What's going on, buddy?
Aiden, it's so good to be here. Thank you. Thank you for having me finally.
Yeah, I feel like I don't know, it's kind of mid-season. Feels like a good time to get the commission's take on the league. Some things happening. We've had a lot of changes this year, obviously, so had to get you on at some point. I know our work from home schedules are super, super busy, so glad we could find some time in the middle of the day to meet up and chat a little football.
Yeah, I'm happy to be taking this long work break that you, I'm sure, take daily. So it's good to join you on this one.
Thank you. Let's jump into it with our Minnesota Vikings. We moved to 1-4, lost to the Chiefs 20-27. The Vikings are dead, right? Season's over.
Yeah, I mean, we're ready to put the nail in it. I don't think they will be, but at this point, from a fan's perspective, what else can we do here?
Yeah, I mean, not much to say on the league, or I'm sorry, on the Vikings. Game started off as it always starts off. We have a first drive turnover.
Fumble on the first play.
Dude,
Can't make it up. Very first
I was
play,
actually
wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was first play Madison, right?
Yeah, I was literally like coming in from the kitchen, and
Oh
I
no, not
just looked.
Madison.
No,
Oliver.
it's Oliver. I was
Oliver.
literally like
Oliver.
coming in from the kitchen, and all of a sudden I look at the clock, and it's 14:52, and they have the ball. I was like, oh, here we are once more.
I
Immediately.
I was driving to Head Flyer to meet up with Noddler and Tate, and yeah, just checking GameCast, and I'm like, didn't we start off with the ball? But of course, untimely turnovers. I think we now have 7 in the first half. Just a killer. Chiefs go
Yeah.
down, score right away. Easy 1-yard rush from Pacheco. Just digging these holes that we just can't get out of. And a lot of bad things happened during the game. Hawkinson, as Jeff mentioned, looks mid as hell. He just signed him to that huge extension and doesn't seem to be able to make the catches when he needs to make the catches.
Yeah. I mean, big drop Hawk at this point. I mean,
I like
especially
that
when you just
nickname.
pay him that much money, and you see and it's just so glaring when you see the other route that could be taken by GMs and other teams with Laporta right on the other side. It's like draft a first round talent, pay him nothing, and see him perform at the exact same level, if not higher, like immediately. So,
And he's
really
actually
glaring
been
overpay at this point. But
well, and he's been productive. I mean, definitely from a fantasy standpoint, I think he's like tight end 3 or something, tight end 4. But it's just these brutal drive killing drops that, I mean, they're not always the easiest catches, but he absolutely has an opportunity, hits him in the hands, and he just can't seem to make a play when we need one.
yeah, I mean, production has a certain expectation when you're a tight end, but then when you're the highest or one of the highest paid tight ends in the league, the expectation of that production is that you're going to take us to another level. But if you're not, then I mean, that money is just so much more well spent in the areas of need. Where if he's not elevating our game, he's just killing us at the end of the day.
Right. And he's not taking, I mean, he hasn't, has he really had a game that he's taken over in like a Travis Kelce, Mark Andrews sense? I don't think so. I mean, he's had nice games and maybe some good stat lines, but definitely hasn't been like the game breaking tight end that he's paid like.
Yeah, no, not at all. I mean, and we sign him with Jefferson on the roster, so it's not like the expectation was to do that. So it's just a head scratching kind of like GM move of like you're paying this guy to be a compliment, and that's what he is. And you're way overpaying for what you're asking and getting out of them.
Yeah, so that's a tough look. Um, Looking at the end of the game, there was obviously that kind of weird sequence at the end, 4th and 12. We throw it to, I'm forgetting, was it KJ who had the pass interference called on him? Powell?
I feel like it was a smaller name. Was it
Might have been Powell. He got a ton of looks
KJ or
during that
Powell?
game.
I'm not certain. It was one of those guys.
But
Um,
basically, Kirk throws it up in the end zone to one of those guys. They throw the pass interference call, so it's hallelujah. We have a chance now to tie this game up. They First of all, the cornerback on the play takes off his helmet and goes to the refs, which I don't love the rule, but it's the rule. I think you should be able to take off your helmet like once a play is dead to talk to a ref, but the rule is 15-yard penalty. And the refs, there's video of them saying, hey, put your helmet back on. Don't get this 15-yard penalty. Seems super bullshit, which that's regardless. If they pick up the flag, it's a 15-yard penalty for the Chiefs' possession. So they would be moved back 15 yards. But they pick up that pass interference, which it's close, but I can't believe they picked it up.
I mean, it is a hell of a play for NFL ref conspiracy theorists and their dick sucking of the Kansas City Chiefs. You have Kirk getting hit like above the shoulders at first, so getting hit in the helmet. So someone can make an argument there. So the ball's not tipped, which is what the Chiefs are initially arguing as why it shouldn't be pass interference. It's clearly a hold. People could easily make the argument that the holding should at least be called. Whether it's catchable or not, I'm not sure. I'm sure the thought that it was tipped definitely played a factor in the flag getting picked up. And then the helmet is just icing on the cake because it's like the most black and white, this occurred, this needs to be called moment. And not only that, but the ref is literally instructing him, put it back on, man, put it back on.
And there's a hands to the face on the defensive line too. Just a blatant, like right up in his face mask.
There's a lot going on. Very, very predictable result for both a Vikings fan and for a Chiefs fan. Just an exciting football play. Nothing to talk about whatsoever. Not controversial.
No, I mean by the book. So Vikes drop to 1-4, 0-3 at home, which brutal stat for us. Icing on the cake, JJ gets hurt from the turf, it seems like. Huge turf controversy going on. Got to move to real grass. He's out on IR for 4 weeks. From a fantasy standpoint, after the 4 weeks, it's our bye week. So you don't have him for 5 straight weeks. And depending on how this Viking season's going or how the season goes, he might not play because everything that I'm seeing is he's going to be reevaluated after the 4 weeks. And if the Vikings are terrible, it's so concerning that we don't have his contract extension. Like, I don't know what you do with him.
Yeah. It's hard to see how this one plays out. The next 4 games will be super telling how we do without him. But I think that's going to dictate largely, regardless of whether he's ready to come back after the 4 weeks or not. I think they're absolutely consider shutting him down is on the table. So he's on for 1 more year.
So I think he would be with us for 1 more year. So there's definitely, if he just is like, I'm not playing, I'm not signing this extension, we definitely can get a haul for him from a trading standpoint. To your point of how the Vikings are going to do these 4 weeks without him, we're going to do bad. And here are our games. And tell me which ones you feel confident Vikes are going to win. Next 4 games are at Bears, home versus the 49ers, at Green Bay, at Atlanta. I don't feel confident about any of those games.
At Bears is the perfect game to lose. That's a trap game. We're probably going to get blown out of the water. 49ers, we're going to get crushed. We won't be able to do anything without Jets in that game offensively. That defense is just going to suffocate us.
Yeah.
At Lambeau's not going to be easy. Falcons at home. Falcons, apparently
No,
that's the only place.
Atlanta.
Or at Atlanta. Sorry, the Falcons being at home. Apparently that's the only place Desmond Ridder can play. So the wrong place to be playing him. I mean, I can see the route easily that Jets is shut down. It'll just be a matter of where we're at. But if we're 1-8, how the hell don't you consider that direction
right.
with it? Because not only at that point you're looking at whether or not he's your future, but protecting him as an asset. Like it would make no sense whatsoever to rush him out onto the field. So from a fantasy perspective, I would be looking at this Vikings offense without Jets for at least the mid to short term.
And I mean, the schedule, man, even after that Falcons game at home versus the Saints, whose defenses look pretty good, at Broncos, I mean, that's the only game I feel confident about. At Broncos, Sunday night, November 19th. It's going to be such a brutal stretch for the Vikings. And I feel like it's easy, back to the Jefferson point. Yeah, we want to protect him. He's not going to be going for any receiving records like he was last year prior to that. So I think it's just an easy thing to be like, yeah, this is a lingering ankle issue and there's nothing to play for. So shut him down for the rest of the season. It does suck. I feel like now we're going to lose that stat of Jefferson has the most receiving yards through whatever it is, 5 seasons. Like that's going to take a hit, but I think we got to do what's best for the team.
Yeah, it's unfortunate from the fan perspective, enjoying watching that chase because he was at just such an absurd pace. And then for him personally, like, what incentive does he have to come back if that's where we're at with our season? I mean, the guy's a competitor. He doesn't want to be out there just getting embarrassed on the football field. And if the production kind of records that were within reach are also out of question at that point, then I'm not sure what incentive lies for him as a competitor. After he sits on the sideline and watch us get just mopped for 4 weeks.
And it's hard to tank in this league. We're going to get some wins. We're probably going to end up 3-4 wins, maybe more than that. I hope not more than that. But this is an awesome QB draft class. There's the lingering Kirk Cousins question. And the way that our team is construed with the contracts that we've given, if we're going to be able to re-sign JJ, I think the perfect thing for the Vikings is a cheap ass quarterback who has awesome upside, like Caleb Williams, like Drake May, Shador, who I don't even know if he's going to come out into the draft, but those 3 guys I would love to have.
The experts said that the Viking season could go this way. Why was I so unwilling to listen to them? Why?
I talked to a guy at a wedding the day before the Vikings' first game of the season, and we were both, just hammered at this wedding. Like, it's the Vikes year. It's the Vikes year. Everyone's down on us. The Lions aren't going to be good. Our division sucks. People are sleeping on the Vikes. No, they were right. They were right.
Have you heard the rumors about Jets not signing his extension because he's waiting for Kirk's extension to be signed with the Vikes? That he wants to be tied to Kirk and believes all of this about being that duo into the future.
The thing is, though, Kirk is old, 35. He hasn't had any crazy injuries, so I mean, he could play another 5, but he's not going to be Tom Brady. He's not going to. I think he's got 3 more years, 4 more years being generous. Eventually his quarterback is going to have to change. Why wouldn't you want to change now when you're in your absolute prime? I get that you have the connection with Kirk, but these quarterbacks are awesome coming out. And there's going to be a learning curve, but at some point your quarterback's going to change. Why not do it sooner rather than later?
Yeah. I mean, I can see from his perspective of wanting to be with a veteran in general, because maybe you don't want to be patient in your prime to wait for Caleb Williams or something like along those lines. But um, I think it's just interesting to see how much traction a rumor like that has.
Yeah, I feel like it kind of came out week 2, week 3. It's just weird. I'd like to know the source on that one.
At the end of the day, Kirk's proven that he can just sling him the ball. He's proven nothing about getting him to the playoffs or anything uh, success-wise from a franchise standpoint, but he's proven he can sling him the ball downfield.
Absolutely. All right, let's move away from the terrible Vikings. Recurring segment. Sponsor for the segment, Architect Mechanical. Haven't received any money from them, but giving free press, free call outs. So Tate, send us some money your way or our way. Down bad, back up. I'm going to start it off. My down bad for this week, Sam Elliott. So here's the deal. Sam's in the right to be somewhat upset. He had a player get 0 points week 1. During week 1, we decided to make the rule that if you start a player that gets 0 or negative, you have to do a Smirnoff Ice Chug. And somewhat unfair for the week 1 people, but multiple people had to do it. They stepped up. I love this rule. I think it adds a fun element to the league. You get a root for players halfway through the third quarter who don't have any points, any receptions, nothing. And at the end of the day, it's just a Smirnoff Ice Chug. Your boy has had to do 3 of those, including 2 this week, and it fucking sucked. But Sam, go to your local liquor store. You live in Chicago. There's got to be one within 5 minutes walking from your apartment. Go get a Smirnoff Ice, record yourself chugging it, and send it to the league. I don't want this to be a big deal, but we're in week 6 now. You got to do it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't get it. Do you like being in this league? This is the small token we're asking to show that to us. Very small token.
And now it gets worse and worse for you the longer that you're waiting. You know, this could have been over even a couple weeks ago, but now week 6?
You've created a monster here, and you're the only one that can solve this.
Sam, I've seen you put down booze in college, okay? Smirnoff Ice, that's going to be nothing for you. So let's get after it. All right, my backup. Little bittersweet. Twins lose to the Astros last night in the ALDS. We're going home. No championship for the Twins this year. Going on, what is it, 32 years since our last championship, since our last Minnesota championship in men's professional sports. But awesome year for the Twins. We won the division, got our first playoff win, won our first series in 20 plus years, and just proud of this team. You know, we showed some fight. By the way, the Houston Astros have made it to 7 straight ALCSs. Unreal run from them, even though they're dirty cheaters. They should have gotten a death penalty. They should have, you know, a little more from the league to those dirty cheaters. Not Correa. He had nothing to do with it. But I'm happy. I like the Twins. We're young. Royce Lewis looked fucking awesome. Definitely got to get some better starting pitching outside of Pablo Lopez for these playoff runs. But I think the Twins are back up, man. I think we can build off of this, and some questionable Baldelli decisions, but nothing compared to, you know, people were calling for him to get fired 2 weeks into the season this year. So I think we have the tools to be a consistent playoff team and hopefully, you know, take that next step, get to an ALCS, and ultimately win a World Series.
Some really nice bright spots coming out of this for them. I mean, we got Royce Lewis, who's just glowing, budding young star. I think some validation on the Pablo Lopez Arias trade. I mean, proven that we needed that kind of arm at the top of the rotation, and he was that when we needed him in those 2 games as well. He pitched 2 games?
2 games. He pitched game
the
1?
first of each series.
Yeah.
The first of each of those series. But yeah, some really nice bright spots. I don't think I watched.
No, he pitched game 2. Pitched game 2 in the Houston series when we got the
And
win.
then to the Astros, are we sure that those guys aren't still doing something? 7 straight years in the ALCS. That is, we got to open up a case study for that. There's got to be something else going on. But
it's like everyone on their team is scary. It seems like anyone can go yah anytime they step up to the plate. Alvarez, what are we even doing pitching to this guy? Just
yeah, I mean,
it.
after I shared that stat that Royce White has the second most postseason home runs in Twins history at 4, and that was what 5-6 games in. Yeah. And then I'm looking at our series with the Astros, and I'm like, they've got 2 guys that have done that in 1 series here, which is like 4 games. I mean, I think Alvarez had 4, and I think Abreu had 3. But I look at a team like that, and I'm like, we're talking about a franchise's history of success at the plate, and then you got a team like that that's just having it every series, every postseason. Kind of crazy.
Yeah, I mean, the Astros, it's just so lame, dude. Now you got a freaking Texas ALCS between the Rangers and the Astros. It's like Twins were the fun story of the postseason, absolutely. But just
we got the monkey off our back though.
We did.
We got the playoff win. Ended that streak. What was that? 18 games.
18 straight. Unbreakable. That record will never be broken, right?
Yeah, and we brought playoff baseball back. I went to a game. It was a while ago, a few years back, and we lost the Yankees. Shouldn't have gone to a Yankees game, but I remember just being in Target Field for a postseason game. It's electric. Place is just packed, and it's just a cool environment to be in. So we brought it back. Hopefully, we can take another step next year, but we got the monkey off our back at least.
Couldn't agree more. All right, Palmer, you're down bad.
So I wanted to keep it in the league, in the fantasy league. For my down bad this week, I'm going the self-defamation route, and my fantasy team right now is down bad. 2 straight weeks, 0-2, going from, I'm looking at the standings here, and we'll get into this more, but 2 straight weeks going 0-4. My team is looking paper thin at multiple positions. Just couldn't be more due for a get right game this week. Team is really needing to turn this around. Maybe big drop hawk will turn some tides here, but yeah, things are looking concerning. My paper thin roster coming out of the draft is still holding true. If you take a look at my roster, I've probably got a backup running back of yours on my team. So at any given time, I've got somebody that's behind your running back just waiting for someone else to go down, but hasn't translated.
Yeah, it's crazy how your 2 consecutive bad weeks with your cheating too. I mean, it seems like you should be doing better than you are, right?
Oh, I wondered if we'd have an entire segment about this.
Let's wait. We'll talk about your cheating later.
Okay, you let me know.
Hey, Tajay Spears, though?
Hey, yeah.
Kind of a nice
spotlight.
We were texting earlier
for the week.
We were texting before the matchup, and you were asking me if I was scared of the play, and I said I was, and 14.9 points, not bad.
Yeah, he's another where if that lead back goes down, could be league winner. But all of that is just hopeful optimism.
The thing is, though, paper thin for sure, but I think you look at most of these teams, and we'll talk a little more about just some of the changes that we've had in this league, but I bet there's probably like one team where you would be like, yeah, I mean, good depth, a lot of room to work with. My team is not one of those teams. I think everybody is razor thin with some of the changes to the league that we've had. So I wouldn't feel too bad about it, but Obviously, going 0-4, you got to scrape together points in this league. You got to scrape together points.
Absolutely. Yeah, and we can talk about that more, but that's kind of part of what's been fun and challenging is that you're just on your toes at all times. You have that extra starting position, and it's like, who the heck do I plug in here now? I got 3 guys down last week.
What's the lowest projected player you've had to plug in this year?
I think Tajay was. Is it Tajay? Tajay?
It's Tyjae. Tajay?
I'm going with Tajay. I think he was projected like 4.5, and I was like, nah, this is his week. So,
what a call.
You could probably look back at any of my running backs, and the RB2 on my team is projected 5 to 7 any given week. So it's just a matter of who I'm rolling out there. Step up to the plate. That's my down bad. It's me. I'm down real bad right now, but send trades anytime. Send trades.
Me too. 3-teamers. I love the sleeper app. You can create these awesome 3, 4, 5-teamer trades. So get creative with it.
I think it's much more easy to address need when you're looking at 3 people instead of just like our team's a perfect fit. So
right.
Okay. Let's get in the trade lab. My backup. I'm going with Mr. Alexander Higgins this week.
Higgy, baby. Long time coming.
Back up. He's been battling at the bottom of the standings this year. Couple different elements to his week. I mean, you could argue he's down bad a little bit with some of the tough injuries that he's gotten, but a lot of shining points going on after the past week's news. He's got Richardson, who left early, but whenever he comes back, if he can stay on the field, he's proven at this point that he's going to be putting up solid, consistent points with that double-faceted quarterback game. DJ
okay,
Moore's
but to the Richardson point, he might be out like 8 weeks. He's on the IR for 4 to 8 weeks, I think they were saying. So that could be.
Is it an 8-week IR? Is that already announced, or is that just like they're saying? Well, I think they put him on 4 weeks, and if he's not ready, they keep him on.
Didn't IR used to be 8 weeks? Like if you got put on IR, it was an 8-week IR minimum. Or have they changed that?
Probably at some point, but it's been like this for the past couple of years, where it's like 4 weeks, then you have a window to return, and if not, then they keep you on IR for another 4 weeks. So it's just a little bit more flexible.
Okay.
But anyways, I mean, he's still got a lot of bright spots on his roster after being just down in the mud for a while there. Dan Campbell's recent interview just validating everything that we all thought was true right all along. Bell cow. David Montgomery just going to keep getting fed. But Alex, remember, you have to start him every week. DJ Moore's coming out party. I think the Bears finally found their formula, which is just throw that man the ball. That's it. That's all you got to do. But I think he's got 2 of the top 3 receivers after that monster week from DJ Moore. He's got Tyreek and DJ Moore.
Tyreek, and then there's number 1.
And then there's A-Chain. A-Chain heading to IR now, we know, obviously, but I think they're just going to be cautious with him. And you know that you're going to be able to stash that away and have that coming back on the most high-powered electric offense in the league. So just stay afloat till then, Alex. You'll be just fine.
I'm just looking at Darren Waller, man. Every fucking year with that guy.
Yeah, I was excited about him this year too, but I think he's just proven us at this point that he's got those soft tissue issues.
I mean, you can't trust him to
stay healthy.
When was he good? Was he good 5 years ago?
Well, that's what's kind of nice about. You can look at the past year history.
Oh, that's right. You can. I do like this.
But last year he was out nearly the whole time. 2 years ago, played half the season as well, it looks like. So 2020 looks like was his coming out party. He had a couple monster games.
2019 was pretty sick too. A little back and forth 2019, but yeah, I mean that's just brutal. He doesn't seem to be able to stay healthy and be productive. But again, with auction too, eventually someone's got to take him, and you see the upside with him, but just hasn't produced. So unfortunate
Yeah,
for Higgins.
some fantasy players will always be that each year. You're just getting really optimistic about them, even though you've seen it over and over and over. But you just get so excited about what can be. It blinds you.
That's why we love fantasy. So let's go into the matchups from this week. We can start with our matchup where I dicked you down, buddy. 90 to 82, convincing win. Never in doubt.
Down bad, man. Down bad.
Down real bad. Just kidding. This was the lowest scoring matchup. I was the lowest scoring winner of the matchup. Only secured the 1 point, which, as we said, you got to scrap out some wins. So happy to get the 1 point there. Finally saw a resurgence from Burrow, who this was kind of the week for me. I was like, if he doesn't do something for me here, might have to look for a quarterback. But got 23. Mixon's been semi-solid. Bijan had a down week, but still am happy with his production. The big news for me this week, James Conner goes on IR, and I officially only have 2 running backs now. I mean, I have Algier, and I just picked up who did I pick up? Perejne, the
Pirine.
Pirine.
Yeah. Bengals looking like they showed some life this week. It's got to be big for you, of course. With Burrow's just miserable start out the gate. But yeah, I before this game, and as you can see, every week I just make a just very hopeful running back stash. And I was staring at Amari DiMercato before the game. It was between him and Jordan Mason. And I'd never even seen this guy's name before. I just knew that he, at this point, was the second available to Connor and Connor's injury history. And I was teetering between those two. I nearly added him to my roster. But that would have made
so you didn't? Yeah, you didn't add him because
I did
Jared,
not. No, I wound up adding Jordan Mason, the backup for the current available backup for the 49ers. Okay. But I was just laughing to myself as I was just like, almost had that one, almost had it.
Okay, but all just the news that I'm seeing is that Keontae is actually the backup, and he was just injured last week.
Right, he's been injured the last 2 weeks. He's second on the depth chart, but he's been there for the past 2 years and been terrible when he's played. Like, he's just not a good option. So the idea being, DiMercato is going to get opportunities. If he plays well, it's probably going to be him. We've already seen Keontae Ingram get the opportunity, and he's just looked bad. So it's not really a risk for one to run away with. It'll probably start as a committee, and whoever has a hot hand is what I would imagine. Yeah, they go with.
Positive for me, Jordan Addison now wide receiver 1 for the Vikings for at least the next 4 games. So see what he can do. He's been pretty solid for the season. What is he? He is wide receiver 28. Hopefully see an uptick for that.
Yeah, both of us probably benefiting the most directly from that injury. Hawkinson probably going to get 12, 13 targets a game now. It's a matter of how many of them does he catch.
Probably half. Second matchup, Wooly and JT. Wooly did he get 2 points here at 103? Let me check. It'll give me the.
Is he back up?
He's not really back up, but
median doesn't say what the median is.
Yeah, I don't know, but had a solid win against JT. Oh wait, I'm so wrong. My bad.
I was going to say, which week are you looking at?
Wooly absolutely got the 2 points against Jeff, handing Jeff his first point loss of the season.
League median was 104 last
104. Week. Okay. Yeah, I think Jeff got the last spot. The 6th spot for top scorer. So, yeah, for Wooly, I mean, Fields went off for him. Had a nice game from Goddard, first game of the year, or first good week for Goddard of the year. Josh Reynolds, nice play from him. Well, he had a good week. He needed it.
Yeah, he's got
I know he
Eckler
started
coming
off
back
hot,
too.
kind of took a dip, but happy that he got the 2 points. For Jeff, obviously, this was my concern the entire time for the draft grades. Now he's without Jefferson for at least 4 games for at least 5 weeks, and if the Vikings suck, could be more. That being said, I think Jeff still has a really solid team. Doesn't look like Nakua is gonna drop off so much from the addition of Cooper Kupp. And Kamara has looked good. McCaffrey obviously killing it. Kirk still solid as hell. So I like this Logan Thomas play too. Kind of came out of nowhere for
Yeah, he had
16.
like 11 targets last week.
But
Well, Jeff, Aiden knew this all along. Question is Aiden smarter than Jeff?
I mean, let's just look at the playoff record between us. You decide.
Look no further.
Good job, Wall. Jeff, way to squeak out a point. Higgins, as we mentioned, the backup team finally put it all together, rising in the rankings. I think he is now the 10th team. Sam, first week back with Cooper Kupp, did well. Think that bodes well for him. Had the Jonathan Taylor play where Zach Moss went out for 32. Still wouldn't have got you the win, but I mean, that's just a tough situation with Jonathan Taylor, Zach Moss. Like, how's that going to play out?
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see what they do usage wise after this. But
They
it's an impossible
did say that Jonathan Taylor's usage is going to go up this week.
for sure.
So,
But can you not give that a guy like Zach Moss the ball after these 4 weeks that he's put together? He's the RB6 on the year, playing 4 games. I mean, his efficiency has been absurd. He's busted off several long plays, so it's like they're going to keep him mixed in at least. But for a fantasy manager, you are absolutely at a loss. You have to start Taylor every single week, and that's where you are with it.
it's so weird that they gave Taylor the contract that he did after not playing him for 4 weeks because I guess he had a small injury, but it seemed like kind of bullshit. You have Zach Moss who's going off. You have a good rushing attack with him, and then you just pay him the contract after 4. Like, have some
Yeah,
balls.
it's literally a tryout to see is the running back worth this money, and the results said no, and then they paid him. Like, you can't be asking for more production than what Moss gave, and then they're like, oh no, well, we're gonna pay you that money now.
Yeah, so weird with him, but
At a certain point, you begin to wonder, can I manage a real football team? I think I can make the decisions these guys are making.
I would think so. I think you got that. I mean, you're a commissioner of this league. How much harder can it be? You know.
Tough job.
All right. Schwecke and Schneid's. Wow, Schneid's, man. He came back this season with vengeance after losing the league last year, doing the Hot Ones Challenge. Currently team number 2. And his team is stacked. Josh Allen, Josh Jacobs, Swift, consistent. A.J. Brown, solid receiver. Ayuk, low week, but I think he has that ability to drop 30 on you, get a couple touchdowns. Kelsey with 17. Kelsey still hasn't had that game, and it's a little concerning with the injuries that he's had, and the production has to fall off at some point with his age, but you still think he's going to have one of those weeks, multiple touchdowns, 150 yards. And so waiting for that. Pickens, 23. Damn, he was close to doing a chug right here. But team's solid.
Yeah,
Team's
I mean,
solid.
you talk about Kelsey. Even watching the Chiefs this week, it feels like a quiet presence, but it's still 10 catches on 11 targets for 60 yards and a touchdown. It's like that's incredible numbers for a tight end, and it still feels like that's nothing for Kelsey. I mean, the opportunity is going to be there, and he's going to explode at some point.
For sure. Schwecke, on the other hand, still put up 129, got a point. Unfortunate. Probably the only matchup besides Higgins where he wouldn't have won that. So squeaks out the point, and awesome Etienne game. Mostert, I mean, now he's the dude for the next 4 weeks, so that's going to be awesome for him. And not that Mostert has been doing bad by any means. What is he? Running back 2? What? The Dolphins, man. That team is stacked.
They're fast. They can
They're
run.
fast. I really like Shrekky's team. I think Shreky, you got to do something with Tua or Mahomes. I don't know what the trade is, but I would be looking for consistent starter. I mean, you have starters. Your wide receivers leave a lot to be desired, but I don't know. Maybe try to move someone. Get a little creative with it.
Phenomenal roster if this is a super flex league. I mean, you're really capitalizing, but until that day.
Let's make a move. Shweki, I want to see something out of you this week, okay? Make it happen. Next matchup, Tate versus Nods. Tate gets the win, 127-102. Brees Hall, running backs look good. James Cook down week, but I still think he's a every week starter. Goff, solid QB play. DeAndre, this has to be his best game of the season, right? 18, yep. So maybe finally a DeAndre resurgence bodes well for Tate. And this is the funniest thing. First week, he doesn't play Kyle Pitts, plays Ferguson, who's solid tight end. And I totally get the play. And of course, Pitts gets you 12 points for the first time this year, has his best game of the year.
Kyle Pitts, man, he's a cancer.
Me and Josh were talking before the pod. We were going to do Kyle Pitts' film breakdown, but there's not a lot to say about it. He just falls down a lot and doesn't get the ball. So,
yeah, I haven't watched enough Falcons game to wonder how much of that is cherry picked, but guys just running around and falling down, running around and falling down.
He is the most frustrating fantasy player in the last 3 years, without a doubt. Nods, on the other hand, what did Nods do? Got the Jamar Chase game, 44.7. I just hate Dak. Dak's not a fun quarterback to have as your starter.
But Jerry believes in him.
Does he?
He said so. Dak's our guy.
Well, obviously. I mean, Trey Lance? Is Trey Lance the backup even?
No. They had like 4 competent.
Is that white dude
at the start of the year?
A white dude who carried them last season or 2 years ago?
Yeah, who took it to us in US Bank. Is it Brandon Rush? Something
Sounds
like that.
right.
Something Rush.
Something Rush. But I don't love Noller's team, man. Just kind of boring.
Yeah, that Trey Lance 49ers insight did not travel far for the Cowboys this week.
Dude, I actually hate Noller's team.
Yeah. Who did he?
Besides
did he lose
Chase.
someone early? He lost Dobbins.
Maybe.
I think he lost Dobbins, but yeah.
This is
not
a
much.
sexy team.
Not much going for it beside those 2 stud wide receiver ones.
Nods, let's make a trade. I want Chase. Let's figure something out.
I want to see more activity out of you, Nods. What's going on that roster?
Have we had any trades this year besides Jeff?
I don't believe so.
This is a hard, and the thing is, the waiver wire is so slim. Like
bias, yeah, it's so hard to get past some people's biases with their own rosters. It's like trying to break through and make them trade, but
yeah. All right, last matchup of the week. Oh, this is a terrible matchup too. JT squeaks out a point against Young Hui's Ghost. Not a lot to say about this.
With a game winner this week, right? Young Hui, I do believe.
Do you miss kickers at all?
Absolutely not. No.
Okay, good answer.
Sometimes I think about it and I'm like, it feels so long ago, but I'm like, what were we doing with them on our rosters?
Nothing. Getting 7 points.
Drafting one and then letting it sit there for 14 weeks.
JT with the best Smirnoff Ice chug of the week. That was awesome. He crushed that thing. He's my backup.
Yeah,
It took him like 3 seconds to chug that. That was insane.
it was great. It was great having Coach T there for scale of how fast JT actually chugged it.
Yeah.
Because he was just still drinking for like 25 seconds. But that was great point of reference. Really, definitely back up. That was good.
That was
Losing
good.
in style.
Yeah. Other than that, though, these teams aren't great.
Yeah, his roster is hard to look at, though. I'm sorry, Justin.
And Jared's.
Chubb was going to be great too. It's a real
Started
shame.
Latavius Murray, dude.
Who is that? Jared?
Yeah. Yikes.
He didn't start Cordero.
Man, I feel bad for Cordero though. Low key.
Why?
I don't know. He was good. He was like RB something last year.
He was RB something for sure. I'll give him that.
All right, standings. Jeff, Schneider, Aaron, ya boy, AC, Tate, Wooly, Sam, Josh, Higgins, Nods, JT, and Jared. Josh, you got to get into a playoff spot, my guy. What's going on?
I'm telling you, man. This is my get right week. If I don't get in the win column this week, I need a welfare check. That things aren't going well.
I'll send it to you. League changes. We were going to talk a little bit. We have the commissioner on. How do you think just quick overview? This is a long podcast already. What do you like the changes overall? We were talking earlier this week how brutal the waiver wire has been and how it seems like the only way you can really change your team is through trade. Do you think we maybe lose a roster spot next year to compensate for that with the 2 flexes, or just overall, how have you liked the changes in the league?
Well, I was pushing for them, so I think they move us in the right direction for sure. I really think people will appreciate the keeper changes. I think that for the amount of effort and strategy that goes into this league, having more of that, people are going to appreciate that in the long run. For me, the waiver wire being thin, it even more on the same thought. It just requires you to be more thoughtful. Like you have to think ahead of something before it goes. Like there's not going to be that many must-grab players each week. You have to be anticipating those things kind of a little bit more. So it's rewarding people for thinking ahead and having that running back that comes into more opportunity before an injury goes down, or having a budding wide receiver on your roster before they have a breakout week. So for me, that's how I see it. But I've appreciated the changes. It was a tumultuous going trying to get the rule changes passed throughout the offseason, as it always is. But we got there, and I think this league is better for it in the long run.
How has your mental health been this year with commissioner duties?
I had to just drop off of the internet, off of socialization. I had to burrow myself in for like a month after those votes were wrapped up. So I'm doing better now. If my fantasy team turns it around, I'll hopefully be even more improved state. But I can't complain. Here in Missouri, life is good. It's real good. It's real good.
I'll have to take your word for it. All right, new segment this week. As mentioned, we have the commish. So we're going to do commish corner. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to hit you with 3 questions. You are going to decide the answer. As you have the power in this league, you're going to have the power with these 3 questions. And you just give me an answer and we'll talk it out. Sound good to you?
Okay. Should these be thoughtful responses or like rapid fire?
Well, give me the answer and then we'll talk about it. Okay.
Okay.
All right. First question. Israel, Palestine. Who you got? I'm just kidding. Don't answer that.
Well, I saw LeBron's public statements, which those wouldn't be mine.
Those wouldn't be your. Why does every professional sports team have to put out a statement about this?
They don't. That's the thing. Why do they feel the need to is the question. They don't
And
have
it's
to.
just once one team does it, everyone has to do it, I guess. Seems
I don't
weird.
know. I don't know.
Actual first question. Should we trade Kirk Cousins?
As a fan, are you asking me, the fan?
No, you're commissioner.
Oh, commissioner. Commissioner. Yes, absolutely. 100%.
So
We've
this
been
is go ahead, sorry.
we've been down this road, the same road for 5 years now, and we have to make an abrupt change at a certain point in time. Um, and I think with multiple great options in the draft, at some point you got to jump.
So you think we should trade him this season, like tomorrow?
I
Because
think that
next year
that
it's not going to matter. We just wouldn't re-sign him. And of course, there is the thing he would have to drop his no trade clause. But if we're just like, we're not going anywhere this year, we can get you to a team like the Jets, who I don't love that for him. I don't think the Jets are really going to do anything this year, but maybe the Falcons, kind of an interesting trade.
his
And
his value as a trade asset is not going to be higher than it is right now. After this start that he's had individually to this season and the need around the league, I don't think we could possibly set ourselves up better with a Kirk Cousins trade than in the next week, 2 weeks before this deadline. When is the deadline?
31st, I think. But I'm going to agree with you. I think we can play Jaron Hall. I don't think we really piss off JJ with the trade, considering he's out 4 weeks and we're going to be bad. Kind of guarantees that we're not going to be winning games going forward. And at least we get something back from him compared to just letting him walk next year. And I think it just sets us up. It sucks. I've liked Kirk. He's been just an awesome dude for Minnesota, even though the playoff success hasn't been there. I like the guy, but this is football. This is hard-nosed. Decisions got to be made. And like Josh said, as commissioner, got to trade your ass.
I think what drives my answer the most is the fact that the rest of our roster, as it is so far away from being in a win now state. The defense, secondary, the offensive line, like we have to bolster that in order to put ourselves in a chance to win eventually. And we're not going to by just remaining the same. So being able to get some assets back from him, whether that's just draft capital or some immediate help in those areas, that's not going to jeopardize our state the rest of the season. We're still going to be able to lose a lot of games and put ourselves in a good position for the draft. And if we can get more assets around that, that's how we're going to get in a better situation in the coming years at this point.
Where would you like to see him go? Because you like Kirk.
I like Kirk. I love Kirk. I love Kirk. Anyone who doesn't love Kirk, I question your character.
Not naming names.
But I don't know I think the Jets experiment would be interesting to watch, like from an entertainment standpoint, because they are, I think, the most quarterback needy team that is in a position to win this season. So I'd get my popcorn out for that. Otherwise, what would it be? The Falcons? That would be way less fun.
I think it'd be fun. I think you'd spread the ball around. I think maybe Pitt's resurgence, Bijan's sick, but yeah, I mean, I don't think there are a lot of options out there for him. And I don't think the return is going to be, second rounder, third rounder. I mean, we're not going to get a first rounder for Kirk, but
no, I'm not sure what the market is for return. So I think that does play a large role in this, but this roster is not going to do it right now.
No, it is not. Second question on Commish Corner. Should the tush push be illegal? Taken out of the league?
Yes, 100,000%. If the NFL is going to continue to this facade of like player safety and all of this, like the removing or you can't line up over the center on punts anymore because that's not safe, and they're making all these changes on kickoff returns. All they're doing by allowing this play is just allowing just way more of a chaotic like pile where players can get injured, as well as I've heard statements from players where they've been on the other side of it, and it pretty much just feels like you're one person getting pushed by four people, and so your legs just collapse very easily. Like you're way more at risk for injury. So like the fact that this play is allowed currently is just kind of it's kind of a mockery of the stance of player safety and all of those other changes that they're making. Plus, the Eagles are just way too damn good at it. It's not fair.
Doesn't it feel just like
it's incredible?
But it's just like, oh, this one team is really good at this play that is not illegal, and we're just going to take it away. Why can't other teams do this? Why can't the Bills run this? Why can't San Francisco with their O-line run it with Brock Purdy?
Yeah, well,
Mahomes, I mean, you don't want to – I get the injury with him, but –
yeah, for one thing, it's because Jalen Hurts can squat 700 pounds, and he's at way less risk of injury than all these other quarterbacks. Like, on paper, it is not a smart move for your quarterback. But I don't know. They're just really fucking good at it.
I feel like even if they take it away, they're going to run a QB sneak that's still going to be super, super successful.
Probably.
Oh, the Kirk Cousins QB sneaks, man. What the fuck is that? They're so brutal to watch. What do you think he squats?
Kirk?
Yeah.
220? 220.
220? 4 would be crazy.
No, Kirko's putting up a bunch of plates. I don't know.
I actually don't even know.
Maybe like 380. I'm not sure. He's hard to gauge. I haven't been on the squat rack in quite a while, so I couldn't gauge that too well.
No Kirko chains this year, so we're not going to see that 8-pack that he's rocking.
No.
Final question. This one's near and dear to me. I was on this train years ago. Thought I would bring it up because I was watching the Manning cast this past Monday. Is Eli Manning a Hall of Famer?
Yes.
So,
end of story.
End of story. Just, I mean, he will be a Hall of Famer. Just
2 Super Bowls, the Tom Brady Slayer, and how much more moxie can a guy have? That goofy younger brother.
Is that moxie?
Oh yeah, it is in the same way that like Kirk has endearing qualities. Like he is him. It's awesome. He's just this goofy ass. And I think the Manning cast makes him even just like that much more funny in public light. But yeah, his playing career, absolutely just a success. But it's for different reasons than others, because it's not the statistics. It's not the statistical career that gets a lot of people in there. But like,
it's so funny with Hall of Fame in the NFL. You know, NBA, everybody's a Hall of Famer. You win an MVP, you put up stats, whatever. Eli is top 10 in passing yards, passing touchdowns, completions. But I think the argument against him is he was never close to a top 5 QB, I would say. Probably fringe top 10 in his best years. But with the passing stats just getting exacerbated with how the league is currently constructed, I think a lot of people, I think we're on the same page. I mean, 2 Super Bowls, 2 Super Bowl MVPs, just the history of the NFL, you can't be told without Eli Manning, but I think a lot of people would disagree that he is not good enough to be a Hall of Famer, but he's going to be.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm answering it from a perspective of how is the NFL's Hall of Fame constructed? Like, if you're having this conversation about in the NBA, it's constructed in a totally different way, where they just glorify the top 75 players and that argument where he was never a top 5 player. I mean, I think players would probably vote on the side of him not getting in for those reasons, because Eli Manning on the field, you're never really like fearing going against that guy. But
We
then at
picked
the
him
same
off like 4
time,
times in a game.
yeah. But then at the same time, you look at it from the way that these inductees are usually viewed, and it's like the guy put together 2 phenomenal playoff runs. He played well when he needed to, and he slayed Tom Brady multiple times in the Super Bowl. So they look at it from like moments, from how you're able to step up and the success that you're able to deliver, more so than other leagues and other Hall of Fames. So that's the perspective I answer with. But Eli, goofy guy.
Goofy motherfucker. All right, that's Commish Corner. We'll get you back on and answer a few more later in the season. Decisive answers, besides the first one. But we can talk about that offline. Final segment before we wrap our best bets. I like that Jared's not on. It's kind of funny. I said Jared was going to be a fixture on this podcast, and then the next one I just leave him off. But it's so annoying to edit his 5-leg parlays on the screen. And I have to rewatch. I have to write them down. So I hope you don't have that for me. But tell me what you do have.
Was I supposed to grab multiple bets? I only found one. I looked.
No,
I don't do much.
Our best bets, meaning our 2 bets.
Okay. Well, my first, which I think I'll just pair with whatever his other player prop was, is I'm taking my best bet this week is DJ Moore going up against the porous Vikings secondary. I got DJ Moore hitting the over on both yards and receptions, over 58.5 yards and over 4.5 receptions. The Bears have done nothing but solidify their path to success this last week. DJ Moore has hit the over on yards, I believe 4 of 5 contests, that line at least. And the last 2 weeks, he's really starting to explode. So I think they're figuring out what their route to success is. And he's going up against a very suspect Minnesota Vikings secondary that we are all very familiar with. That is my best bet of the week.
I love it. It bodes well with our Vikings should just start losing games here. DJ Moore has been sick. Funny little nugget. Last week in our high school league, I traded on Wednesday. I traded Jared Puka Nakua for DJ Moore and DeAndre Swift. And DJ Moore put up 45 the next day.
Which side were you on?
I was on the DJ Moore side.
So you got DJ Moore.
I got DJ Moore and Swift for Puka, who I picked up off waivers week 1.
Wow. That was a great buy low on DJ Moore. I think the rest of the season he could be a monster.
Yeah. Certainly looks
Jared,
like it going forward.
Jared, are you 12 of 12 in every league that you're in, or what's going on there?
Wait, let me check what he is in the other league. He is he's second to last.
I mean, he's certainly active on the waiver wire. He's got that going on.
Does he have any money left? I think he's out of money in both leagues. We're just kidding, Jared. Please still come on the pod. We love your insight. All right. My best bet. Missed last week with the Texans over. Who did the Texans play? Some shitty team. The Falcons. Close one. I had Texans money line. They scored late to take the lead. Falcons came down, kicked a field goal. Young Hui killed me. So missed last week, but we're going to get back on the horse this week. I'm going to do a point total over. 49ers Browns over 37. This is a very, very low total. I understand 2 good defenses in the Niners and the Browns, but here are the point totals just for the Niners in their first 5 games. 30 points, 30 points, 30 points, 35 points, 42 points. So I think the Niners the Browns will be the best defense that they played this year. They did play Steelers early on, kind of a fluke, but I think the Steelers defense has improved since that week 1. And they played Dallas last week, put 42 on them, who I know they've had some injuries, but I think Dallas is still a good defense. So I think the Niners are going to get you really close to this point total by themselves. And the Browns scare me a little bit. I think it's going to be, I don't think this total is going to get to 52 points or anything, but I just think between the Niners putting up a lot of points and the Falcons or the Browns just getting like a touchdown gets us to the over. Do you like it?
That's got good legs. I would hope, if I were you, that the Niners do get very close to that. I think the Browns are going to roll out. Is that Dorian Thompson is his name?
Yeah.
I think he's rolling out there again, which is not going to go well against that Niners defense. But the Niners offense just gets their way over time, even against the stout rush defense or defensive front of the Browns. But that's not going to go well for Mr. Dorian Thompson. Is it Dorian Thompson?
No.
He's going to get
scary too.
Alive.
It's scary too. I mean, the Browns have definitely had some low point totals from their offense this year. 37 is just so low. I feel like you don't really see a point total that low.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think the Niners honestly could hit that on their own. They're not going to be held under 4 touchdowns, 28 points. It doesn't feel like with the rate they're currently going at. So I like it. It's got good legs.
Yeah, Brock's been good. McCaffrey's been good. All right. Brings us to the end of the pod. Palmer, thank you for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure. You've done an amazing job commissioning. I know people are going to give you grief. I know I give you grief. We're not going to touch on your cheating allegations just because I'm not going to disrespect you like that. But just know they're out there. They're out there.
We can revisit it next time.
Yeah, we'll revisit it next time. And I mean, the way your team's going right now, it's not that big of a deal. So
to anyone listening out there, just remember, thank your commissioners.
I'll never forget. All right. Thanks, Palms.